There's only a few things that we need to know in order to get started with our playing. And everything that I'm going to talk about now applies to whether you have a piano or an electronic keyboard. So let's turn around and have a look at the instrument here. Couple of things. And bear in mind, if you've had some experience already, what I'm going to be telling you here, you'll already know. So I'm talking now to those for whom the whole experience is new. Also bear in mind, if you're a parent, and when I say a parent, I mean anyone who's providing a parenting role. So I could be talking about a care provider, a support person, a music coach. Anytime I refer to a parent, I'm talking to those of you that are playing a supportive role in assisting and supporting a younger child. So I'm talking to you here right now. One of the things you're going to need to do is learn with your child, and you'll know better than anybody, how to administer very small doses. I'm going to talk about a bunch of content right now. It's not a whole lot, but we'll cover all of the basics. With a young child, you might just point out one or two at a time. And how to know when to move forward is when your child will be able to, you'll know from what your child's doing if you can get that sense that, hey, they understand this and they're able to process it. There's no rush here, there's no agenda. The only speed we need to move at is the speed that supports the child's progress, and it's their rate of progress that determines how we administer the dosages. Anyway, so let's have a look at the keyboard. Okay, what's the first thing that we see? We see that the typical piano or electronic keyboard is made up of white and black keys. Great. There's a pattern here. You'll see that there are 2 black keys and then 3 black keys, and then 2 black keys and 3 black keys, and then 2 black keys and 3 black keys. That's the same with every keyboard. All right, great. Every white key has a name, and it gets its name from the alphabet. In fact, we borrow the first 7 letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So watch what I do here. I'm just going to take my finger and I'm going to put it here. This is an A. I'll talk about that in a moment. But if this is A, I'm going to move to the next note. This is a B, this is a C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it starts again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so on and so forth. From the very beginning of the instrument to the very end of the instrument, it's the 7 letters of the alphabet. The black keys, they actually get their name from the white keys. We don't need to worry about that now. I only really like to talk to you about content that's relevant to whatever we're doing. You don't need to worry about it, but we will get to it a little bit later. What do you need to know now? Just the fact that each of the keys has a name, and we get our name from the first 7 letters of the alphabet. Now, this is an A, this is a B, this is a C. I want us to know how to find C. So let's have a look at it for a moment. A C is always just to the left of this black note here. In fact, I'm going to say just below this black note on the group of 2. And when I say below, on a piano or a keyboard, anytime you move in that direction, that's called up. The sounds are going higher. This is called down. The sounds are going lower, etc., etc. So anytime we're moving right, that's up. Anytime we're moving left, that's down. So here's my group of 2 black keys. Just below this, the lower one, that's a C, and it'll always be a C. Really? Well, where's another group of 2? Here's another group of 2. Just below, just to the left, just down from this black note, there is a C. Here's another group of 2. Just below it, there is a C. Okay, what about down here? Here's a group of 2. There is a C right below it. Here's a group of 2. There is a C. I need you to just know that. Now, have a look at my instrument. I'm sitting roughly in the middle of my instrument. There is a C right here, and this technically, in the world of music, this note here is known as middle C. It's not exactly in the middle of the instrument, and if you've got a 61 key keyboard or maybe even a 49 key keyboard, it could be placed slightly differently. We don't need to worry about it right now. But what I do need to let you know is that everything that we do, I'm going to orient around this position. And let me just explain why. Firstly, you'll see that I've put this white marker here. I have done this only for the purpose of filming. At home, you don't need to do this. Why I've done it is that sometimes we might be working in this register here, and if the camera is zoomed in on my hands, you won't know whether I'm here or there or there or there. So as long as you can see where this is, you'll be able to see, oh, I get it, his hands are above that middle C area. Or, oh, I see where he is, his hands are below that middle C area. That's the only reason why I'm providing this. But I do want you to know I'm going to be drawing reference to this C, which is approximately in the middle of your instrument. And you'll always know that this is middle C because for the purposes of filming, it's just below this group of two, and it's that particular group that I've put the white marker on. Okay, so we know now where C is, and in fact we know where middle C is. Okay, whether you're playing piano or keyboard, we number our fingers, and the thumbs, this is the case for everybody, the thumbs are always finger number 1. Pointer finger is finger 2. Finger 3, our ring finger's finger 4, our pinkies is finger 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's always the case. There's no exception to that. That's just a standard rule in music education for piano. Okay, so one of the things that I want you to do is get used to getting your fingers working. Now look, this sounds simple, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come together immediately for everybody. You might find that hey, I'm going to take my thumb, watch what I do here. I'm putting my thumb on C, and we know that this is middle C, and I'm just going to put 5 fingers on 5 consecutive white keys. Thumb, and then each finger is on each consecutive white key. I'm just going to call that 5 fingers over 5 keys, and anytime I just refer to 5 over 5, you'll know exactly what I mean. So in this instance, my 5 over 5, I've got C here down the bottom, and I'm just going to play my thumb, finger 1. Now what I want to do is I just want to swap finger 1 for finger number 2. So I'm going to play this one, and when I do that, I'm just going to let go of finger number 1. And I'm going to head up. I'm going to swap finger 2 for finger 3. And then I'm going to let go of finger number 2. And I'm going to do the same. Finger 4, and let go of 3, and 5, and let go of 4. Let's do that again. I'll do it a little more quickly. Start with finger 1, finger 2, I swap, finger 3, finger 4, finger 5. And I'm going to do the same thing coming down. Just that simple act of these 5 steps of sound, just going from finger 1 and swapping over to each of the notes and then coming down. For some people, that's a challenge. There's no problem. It's just that you haven't figured out yet how to get things wired up. You don't find your way to doing this by forcing the issue. In fact, most of these things you'll find with piano, that it comes down to sort of playing soft, keeping your hands soft. And you'll find that even with playing loud and having plenty of power, your hands are kept fairly loose throughout the whole process. It has more to do with balance than strength. All you need to worry about in the early stages is just getting used to swapping over one finger to the next and being really patient with yourself. I promise you this will come together very quickly if you take it slowly. There's no better, more powerful way of progressing quickly than by learning slowly. Very, very important thing. So just get used to swapping these fingers over, heading up and heading down. And you can do this with both your right hand and your left hand. Let's have a look. In this instance, I'm just going to put my pinky, finger 5, on C, and then I'm going to put my remaining fingers on the consecutive white notes. So it's still 5 over 5, and I've still got C on the bottom, and I'm going to do the same thing. This time I'll just start with finger 5, swapping to 4, swapping to 3, to 2, to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can pause the video at any time. If I'm moving too quickly, no problem, just rewind a little bit. But don't move on until you feel that, oh, I get it. I've got a little bit of independence here with being able to swap from one finger to the next. If you like, you can do it with both hands. In fact, let me put a C on the bottom here, my thumb, 5 fingers over 5 notes. My pinky on a C, 5 fingers over 5 notes. And let's just try playing both of the Cs. And swapping, heading up as I'm doing it, and heading down. That'll be really easy for some of you. It'll be more of a challenge for others. It's no problem. That's perfectly normal, and trust the process that this will come together very quickly. Now, here is something really important that I do not want you to do. We're not going to be taking you through drills and exercises. That's not what this is about. Our approach to getting your hands working and getting your fingers working is by teaching you songs. It's far more interesting to do that. So we're not going to be having our attention on learning scales and exercises and drills, etc. It's just not as much fun. And you're never going to go out to somebody's house and they're going to say, hey, sit down and play some scales for me. I mean, it's really not really like that at all. You want to be able to sit down and play some songs. So we're going to train you to get your hands working by actually teaching songs. It is going to help you in that process if you can at least just get your fingers working with some level of independence. I'm doing it now very smoothly and evenly, and I'm doing it with both hands. How long does it take to get to this stage? As long as it takes. But it won't take you very long. Don't worry about doing both hands together if you haven't been able to do it just with the right hand or just with the left hand. And also, you don't need to let it stop you from moving forward and learning some of the basic songs. I just want to make sure that you keep this process alive. Just return to it, and we'll be doing it in the songs that we learn until we've got that basic independence. Okay, great. So, another thing that I'm going to want you to do is what we call a chord, which is just a fancy name for playing a bunch of notes at the same time. Watch this. 5 fingers over 5 notes, 5 over 5, C on the bottom. In this instance, it's middle C. I'm going to play my finger 1 and hold it down. I'm going to leave finger 2 out. I'm not going to play that. I'm going to play finger 3 and hold it down. I'm not going to play finger 4. I'm going to play finger 5 and hold it down. So I've got every other note with every other finger. 1, 3, and 5. But I'm going to play them all together. Sounds really good. That's a chord. Bunch of notes played at the same time. I can do the same in my left hand. 5 over 5. I've got C on the bottom. I'll play my finger number 1, not 2, 3, not 4, 5. Fingers 1, 3, and 5. I'm going to play them all together. I've got a chord. Now, don't spend much time on this because we're going to do a process a little later where we'll learn this fantastic song, and it's going to really help you to get these chords into your hands. But what I don't want you to do is any of that weird stuff where it's like, well, okay, I'm going to hold my fingers out of the way because finger 4 wants to keep playing every time I'm trying to get my chord placed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it out of the way or put a pencil in between. Don't do any of that stuff. It's just unnecessary, and it actually doesn't help. It actually slows the process down. You'll find that just by bringing your attention to what it is that you're asking your hands to do, your brain will figure it out. For parents, understand that your young child, it may take them a little longer just to get the individual 5 steps of sound. And you might find that when they're trying to get a chord, that's even more challenging. That's perfectly normal. You don't need to get that down and into your hands before you move on. And I will give you some advice as we're moving forward to be able to help you determine, do I need to just pause here for a while and stay with this until it's processed a little longer, or am I able to move on? And I'll help guide you through that process as we proceed. So, what have we covered so far? 88 keys. You might have a 61 or a 49 key keyboard, preferably 61 or full size 88. We know we've got black and white keys. The blacks are grouped in 2s and 3s. Heading up is this way, heading down is that way. All of our notes come from the alphabet, the first 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then it repeats. C, A, B, C, is always just below the group of 2 black notes, always. In this instance, this was middle C. We've numbered our fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've worked towards getting some independence with our simple 5 steps of sound. A lot of stuff here. For those of you who are ready, you've even been able to just play that fingers 1, 3, 5 on both hands and play a chord. And you can just move those around anywhere. even though I'm talking about in middle C, you can play a chord anywhere you want to. And in fact, we'll be doing that a little later when we learn this fantastic piece of music. But for now, pretty much they're the basics with regards to the keyboard. There's just one other thing that I need to address, and that's the way that you sit at the piano. It's really important that you don't be doing this where you're sitting really super close and you're right up at the instrument and you're covering the keys. Even though that might feel like it's helping you because you want to watch what's going on, that's not what I need you to do. I need you to get used to sitting back. Now, how far back? Well, on a full-size keyboard, look, it might look to you like I'm sitting a long way back from the instrument, but watch this. I can take my hands, and I haven't had to lean forward or anything like that. I'm not doing any of this. I'm just sitting back, and pretty much, look, I've pretty much got the whole keyboard at my grasp, and yet I'm sitting away from the instrument. I want you to get used to sitting back from the instrument. It will really help you. The other thing about it is that when you're sitting back, I don't want you to be doing anything weird like this where your hands are bent down, nor anything like this where they're bent up. Pretty much you'll find that just a relaxed position from your elbow to your wrist to your hand, it's pretty straight, and then there's just a natural curve of the fingers. Now, I know that some traditional approaches have really worked on strengthening the fingers. There are disciplines and practices that may have great relevance for students that are being prepared for adult concert level performance. In the Simply Music program, we want our educator to be the songs that we play. And as we work towards having music in your life for the rest of your life, and being able to have music as a companion throughout your life, and being able to sit down at any time and just be able to play, equipping you with that foundation, we want to get to that place really quickly where you're playing fantastic sounding music. So I'm not going to be focusing right now on the distinctions and the complexities of adult concert level performance. We're not going to be worrying about that at all at this point of time. But know that the foundation that we are building is sound, and it's valid, and it's fabulous. And most importantly, we're equipping you with having the ability to play a really broad repertoire of great sounding music. The basics that I want you to be clear about are a basic understanding of the instrument, keep back from the keyboard itself, no weird bending of the hands or the wrist, just keep things nice and straight. And in fact, when it comes to the curved fingers, if you were to just stand up right now and just let your hands fall naturally and don't have any attention, just stand up. You can do this if you like. Stand up. I'll stay seating so I'm still in the shot. But just stand up and let your hands fall by your side. Now, if you look down at your hands, and I'm just gonna lift my hand up, you'll see that your hands, when they're completely rested, there's a beautiful natural curve. That's really all you need to worry about. It's like letting my hands just be here, relaxed by my side, and all I'm doing now is just bringing my hand up, and there's a perfectly natural curve that's just right there. So strength doesn't come from force. Strength with the piano comes from having that natural balance. And this natural curve that's there, you really find that by discovering a relaxedness and a softness. So at any point of time, parents, if you see your child doing this, and for older students, if you find yourself doing this where you're trying to get something and you're trying to force the result in your fingers, know that you're going in the wrong direction. How to get your fingers swapping from one to the next, how to get chords playing 1, 3, and 5 comes out of softness and just having your attention and trusting the process and trusting that your brain will figure it out. We've covered all the basics that we need to. We're ready to move on and start playing some great sounding music.